covering North Florida and South Georgia. This is Clouds weather. Good Thursday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud coming on the air with Cloud weather at 5:30. And you do see here a Doppler that is pretty active right now. Quite a few storms, all sub-severe. No warnings here so far on this Thursday, this Friday Eve. But we'll watch it here. I'm watching it here in the Weather Center to make sure we don't get any severe thunderstorm warnings. But still some impacts here for sure. Got some flood advisories around here as we're looking towards some of the different communities. These special weather statements, have had a few power outages here and there as we're looking at things. I know you can always look at this information in the Cloud Weather app there, cloudweather.com/radar. You have the interactive radar available as well. So, but right now we'll just kind of get down to it in terms of the overall Doppler technology. And you do see here some advisory activity here toward parts of Suwannee County, Columbia County here. As we look on the Doppler right now, you can kind of see quite a bit of lightning just whenever thunder roars. You want to go indoors here as we look toward parts of southern Suwannee County, east of Branford, there around Beachville. You can kind of see here what's going on as we get on in here. Some of the wind energy, but it's not, too prominent at all. Only about 30 miles an hour showing up on that. It could be a little higher down toward the surface. We do have maybe a little bit stronger signal up here near the radar site in south central Georgia as we look northeast of Valdosta. Seeing some green and red here, but nothing overwhelming. Maybe went to about 40 miles an hour showing up. That is closer to the radar. We did get a wind gust to 40 about 40 minutes ago or so. So that's kind of the storyline there as we kind of keep you guys updated as we look at the overall scenario. I know just, have this view that is pretty active, quite a bit of, moisture. We have some stuff headed in the direction of Bradford County, already entering into part of Bradford County, even as I go over toward the Jacksonville radar to get a better viewpoint. I'll turn off our sweep here. And you can kind of see the storyline with this as I kind of zoom on in. Already seeing some heavy rain in eastern Bradford County here. Let's get down to street level. I'll put on the Jacksonville area roads, which include, Bradford County roads. We do have southeast 125th Terrace there being impacted right now by some heavier rain. And we'll have to just kind of watch the trends. You see a little bit of lightning back out, toward the west there. As I keep you guys informed here on this Thursday, as we look toward the south, a little bit more formal activity down toward the Interlochen area there, as we're looking on some of the different roads down here. As I get in tight, we have State Road 20 there. See Hollister, some heavy rain. Interlochen, some heavy rain there. As we keep you guys informed, just trying to update you the best I can. Just trying to inform you, looking through some different data points right now to make sure I'm not missing anything. Again, you can see here we have an advisory until it looks like about 6 p.m. for parts of Putnam County. It looks like we just got a warning in our area in Valdosta, so I'm going to jump over to that in a second. But you see that even does get down toward the Melrose area as well. Some stronger activity headed that way. You have northern Marion County, a special weather statement until 6 p.m. over there. So just going to watch all the different trends. But we do need to get to this warning now here for Valdosta, our first warning of the day. Just like yesterday almost, we got a warning right during, that was right before we really got on with the broadcast. This is happening here in the last few seconds. This is a severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30 p.m. for parts of Lowndes County here. So we're, looking at our map. We also have some other county areas involved. So let me remind you guys of our coverage area here real quick. Going to remind you guys of the coverage area, and then I'm going to go ahead and look over the warning here that just came out as I hear some loud thunder here around Stark. Just whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors, but I know we just got a severe thunderstorm warning toward Lanier and Lowndes and Brooks counties in Georgia. So those are all in our area. As we're looking there, we're on the periphery of the area, but we are still in our area with all three of those zones. At 5:35, a severe thunderstorm was located near Moody Air Force Base, or 7 miles northeast of Valdosta, moving southwest at 5 miles an hour. So those are the three counties involved here. As we're looking at things, and I see just looking at some of the viewer questions, comments here over on that page right now. Looks like we have some comments here. We have Fire Larry Train tuning in from Bainbridge, Top Cat watching here from North Florida, and then Thomas watching from areas up towards Southern Illinois to St. Louis Metro. So I just appreciate everybody tuning on in here. But Unfortunately, we do have to we're going to have to stick with this severe thunderstorm warning now, I think, as we look at the overall situation. So we'll dive into more of the other details here as, eventually time will permit. I can go as long as I need to. We're not on television or anything like that. But again, you talked about, maybe just the overall action here in terms of this, the overall scenario. Kind of really seeing that in terms of the overall situation here. Seeing the statements come out from the Weather Service, and they're talking about all this important, pertinent information. So let's go ahead and look right now. You can see here, severe thunderstorm warning in place. So at 5:35, a severe thunderstorm was located near the Moody Air Force Base, or 7 miles northeast of Valdosta, moving southwestern at about 5 miles an hour. So Lake Park, Valdosta, Hahira, Moody Air Force Base, I-75 exit 16, Bremerton, Dasher, as well as Twin Lakes, Barrett, Valdosta Airport, Kinderloo, I-75 exit 29, Blue Springs, I-75 exit 11, and I-75 exit 22 under this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this goes until 6:30, but you know what? We're going to switch to our radar here in Bradford County. That's been quite a few close lightning strikes in the last few moments, so hopefully we can stay on the air here. Oh, goodness, you need to get inside right now if you're right around where I'm at here around the Stark Country Club, because those are some of the closest ones I've heard since I've been on the air here doing this over, with the Barron upgrade the last couple months, even over the last, half decade or so, quite honestly. I mean, you see this one blast, and that is very close to where I'm at, by the way. Very close here as we're looking at the overall situation. So you can see that flash of lightning there, and, just very close in terms of the overall geography here where I'm located. That's flash. I mean, it happened in the last 60 seconds. So, again, that kind of tells the story as we're looking at things. Those were some close lightning strikes. I think we're still on. That one in particular was very close here. Hopefully I didn't jump on the air. I don't think I did. But, again, that is really close to where I'm located. As we go ahead and go back to the north that are severe thunderstorm warning, things that have been kind of, not overwhelming here today, and all of a sudden they take that meteorological turn a little bit on that hyper-local level, at least. I mean, most of you guys, it's not different. I mean, but right where I'm at, all of a sudden we're getting these lightning strikes in really close proximity, and then we got a severe thunderstorm warning up toward areas in south central Georgia. So, again, here we go. As, the peak heating, we've had that kind of come into play, and seeing some of those impacts here as we have this severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Lowndes County here until 6:30 p.m. and as well as parts of Brooks County and Lanier County here. So again, I wonder if you guys can hear that thunder in my microphone. Some of them that were hearing these rumbles here around Stark over the last few seconds. Just stay safe out there, everybody, as you're watching things. I just appreciate everybody tuning on in here. I know Top Cat, I think, indicating they're hearing some of those rumbles of thunder for sure, as we're looking at some of this overall scenario detail information. So, again, seeing different things pop up on my alert board here, just checking over everything. Again, got a severe thunderstorm warning right now until 6:30. Let's go ahead and go to wind mode on this. We're going to kind of maneuver some things around. Here. Let's get into that wind mode. We're going to check on this storm here. Seeing some of these greens and reds here, maybe some burst of wind energy potential there east of Hahira. As we're looking at things right now with this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, Lowndes County. Let me drag this down just a little more. I like to go back and forth, but sometimes it makes things a little difficult when I have this down here, the windshield, and just trying to kind of make sure I use as much of the screen as I can so I can show you guys what's going on, though, with that burst of wind potential moving off toward the south and west there. But, we may have some viewers tuning in from Bradford County, so let's kind of go back and forth a little bit here because those have been some close, strikes of lightning here. Some of those very well may have been cloud to ground and, within maybe a mile where I'm at here, hearing those very loud rumbles of thunder as we're looking in eastern parts of Bradford. Some of these kind of coming in before the rain does, which makes things especially dangerous here as we're looking at things. So, some of these lightning strikes here on Northeast 15th Avenue and Northeast 21st Avenue and State Road 230 East. So, that overall vicinity here, seeing some of those rumbles of thunder and even more the concentrated action with the heavier rain, though, toward Southeast County Road 100A. So, again, this is what I would start to call maybe maybe a strong thunderstorm, but let's look at the wind energy. Maybe not really in terms of the wind energy, but just with all that electrical action, you don't actually have to have, really a situation here where there is, really where the lightning and the actual wind that it'll correlate. This here is a scenario where they do not correlate in that you have to have stronger wind gusts here to get a stronger storm. Technically, you could have maybe weaker gusts, but it's a whole bunch of lightning. It's technically not really a strong thunderstorm based on you don't get a significant weather advisory generally. Sometimes they can issue them just for excessive cloudy ground lightning, talking about the different weather service offices, but generally they wouldn't really call that a strong thunderstorm officially. So again, just trying to keep you guys informed here the best I can. Just trying to update you. Again, not much wind energy there as we look with that, but still a lot of lightning really just developing the last few moments here, right around the Stark Country Club. So that's dangerous in and of itself there with electrical energy coming in. People trying to play golf, things along those lines. So again, let's go ahead and get back to this severe thunderstorm warning up toward the north here, though. Again, we have this warning. Let's see if we can do a storm track on this here, because we are seeing some indications in the radar here of some 60-mile-an-hour wind gust potential nickel-size hail. So we have that 60-mile-an-hour wind gust potential here in this area. We have a boundary involved too, so let's loop this. I know some of those, outflow type of characteristics here can give you maybe some wind out ahead here that can be noteworthy. Into where some of these different zones here, as well as we're looking at things as I keep you up to date. So the strongest wind's probably back behind here, but the movement according to weather service with the actual storm axing, granted it could still weaken here in this type of environment, so it may not hold together for the whole next hour, but southwest at 5 miles an hour here as we're kind of looking at things right now. We're looking at the overall scenario. So that's only 5. I mean, that's a small area there. And then let me go ahead and we're going to change this one over to the smaller communities in here. And we are getting a few to pop on, and a good, number of them, even in that small, little area there. So Cherry Creek Hills, Windsor Park, Highland Heights, Northgate Manor Trailer Park, Mobile Home Estates there, Cherokee Plantation, Country Club Estates, East Wind, Foxborough there, and Northwood. Some of those different communities being impacted north of Valdosta at about 6:30 based on this maybe, just an overall timeline. Technically, the warning expired at 6:30, so we'll keep watching the trends here as I look at some of my information on the alert board. Again, just trying to keep you up to date here. We got a severe thunderstorm warning in south central Georgia. We have a lot of light in other spots, including here toward parts of Bradford County, where I'm at here. As we're looking at things, again, quite a few of these strikes, popping on in. Some of these way out ahead of the apparent thunderstorm activity, which is especially dangerous. That can really catch people off guard here. Maybe gardening, maybe on the golf course or something like that. So, that is problematic for sure as we're looking at the overall scenario here, as we're updating the best we can. I mean, this impact right around Bradford Elementary School. I know the schools go back here in Bradford County next week, as well as all the Florida public schools. Right now, not going back. I don't know the exact schedule. Some of the schools have, open houses ahead of time. Just looking through some of the school calendars here to try to get that graphic that'll say you here together. I don't remember if there are any around this time frame right now, but if they happen, to be any, then that can be problematic, obviously, with some of this heavy rain kind of coming on. And I'll try to look real quick, in fact, for Bradford Elementary specifically, since we're right here in Bradford County. Let me see if I can kind of get this nailed down here as we're looking at the overall information. So I'm going to try to see what I can find on that real quick. I'll go to the Facebook page, see if there's anything I can pull up. It's just a one-man band, but it's all about trying to give you the very latest here. Trying to keep you up to date. And it's a pretty new school. I'm going to try to find, I don't know if I have it up on this source here, where I can get to that page right off, but I'm going to try to look. I know it looks like Stark Elementary has an open house tomorrow from 4 to 5:30. Other side of town here in Bradford County. It's dark. Again, just trying to keep you up to date here on the very latest. So let's going through some of this. I know pre-printing started this week here. Again, just trying to give you guys the very latest information, looking at my different tools here in the toolkit. Just trying to keep you up to date here. Okay, so I'm just looking through some of that. I don't see it right off, unfortunately, but it's a possibility that could be going on right now as we're trying to update you guys as the very best we can. I'll try a different way here. Gonna go ahead and try this here real quick. Just to appreciate everybody tuning in, trusting me here, and to give you guys the very latest. Again, gonna go ahead and remind you guys of the covered area again. I know I'm in Bradford County trying to give you guys the very latest information on all this here. Just trying to be here for you the best I can. Just trying to give you all those important details. Gonna look through here. Okay, the open house is tomorrow at Bradford Elementary, it looks like. So that's kind of the storyline there. Tomorrow at Bradford Elementary. Just wanted to kind of get an idea of what's going on here with some of this as we're looking at the overall information. Just trying to keep you up to date on everything here. But it looks like the high school is tonight at 6 o'clock. So their open house is about to start, and people are getting caught out in this, I'm sure, as this comes on in, as I'm going to switch the radar back on over, back around. So as we go ahead and jump on in here, because there's a high school, and people headed in there are getting caught in some of the storm activity right now. As we're looking at things with this, heavy thunderstorm here in toward parts of Bradford County, this heavy rain, just the electrical energy, definitely an impact there at points. Just whenever thunder roars, you do want to be indoors here as we're looking at things. I'll go ahead and go back toward the north now as we get into toward parts of Georgia, though. You can see here the severe thunderstorm warnings while we're kind of sticking with the storm axis, and it's strengthening here. It has strengthened a good bit here over the last, scans. I mean, that's a significant strengthening southeast of Hira there. So we need to kind of stick with this a little bit more carefully here, I think, at this point. We'll kind of loop that. It's really started to come together here in this very last frame. So we are seeing the potential here for some damaging weather here for sure now in towards south central Georgia. So let's go ahead and kind of zoom in. You see our warning for parts of Lowndes until 6:30 here. But let's try to get some of these roads in here. Skipper Bridge Road, as we're looking there. Old Pine Road, Orr Road, Staten Road. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning in south central Georgia there until about 6:30 p.m. So just watching the overall scenario. You see some of these different winds coming together in the meteorological pattern. Some of the different winds coming together here. With the overall signature here on the Doppler. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. This is north of Valdosta. So north of Valdosta, we're seeing that signature on the Doppler. We got an update from the Weather Service. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect there until 6:30 p.m. for west central and near Lowndes and northeastern Brooks counties. So at about 5:48, a severe thunderstorm was located near Moody Air Force Base or near Valdosta, moving southwest at about 5 miles an hour. So we're seeing 60-mile-an-hour wind gust potential and now quarter-size hail as well. We don't always get that here in summertime, the hail potential in there. So I'll try to see our hail tracker here in just a moment. But Lake Park, Valdosta, Hira, Moody Air Force Base, I-75 exit 16, Remerton, Dasher, Twin Lakes, Barrett, Valdosta Airport there, as well as Kinderloo, I-75 at exit 29 there. Blue Springs, I-75 at exit 11, I-75 at exit 22 as well. So, again, seeing this impact here in towards South Georgia. As I keep you guys up to date, again, a severe thunderstorm warning in play till 6:30 p.m. Just trying to give you guys the latest details the best I can here. These are some pretty strong winds showing up here on our velocity scan. Again, if you add them together, that could get you winds of 60 to 70, maybe, that's almost 75 miles an hour. I don't think it'd be quite that strong, but definitely in excess of 60 miles an hour a possibility here. That latest scan a little weaker. Let's go to the hail tracker. We're going to go through some of our different modes here. We have this is one mode of it, but I have a better way to show this here. You can see on this mode we don't have a formal risk, but as I get over to the Valdosta radar here, we're going to go ahead and see our 1-hour hail mode. And that's quite a bit of hail potential that's been showing up in here as we're looking, and it's moving off toward the south and the west. So around Orr Road, Staten Road there, Cherry Creek Hills. Again, we have some hail potential here in toward this area as we have a severe thunderstorm warning in play till 6:30 p.m. for parts of Lowndes County. So in south central Georgia right now, seeing some of this impact right now for sure with this hail potential. Maybe the quarter size, that's 1 inch in diameter. Not overwhelming, but definitely riding about. It's still not what you want to see here. It's not what you want to have impact in your evening for sure. As we're just trying to update the very best we can. Again, looking through some of the different tools here in the toolkit. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any more questions, comments here on this Thursday. I appreciate everybody tuning on in and trusting me. Looks like we have a John Watson from the Ocala area saying it was bad about an hour ago. So let's go ahead and look down there. I know we have a special weather statement north of our area here, but let's go ahead and kind of look at some of our different modes. We'll go over this way and then we'll get it on in. We'll look down toward Ocala and we'll go back an hour. You can see there was some action coming through, some thunderstorm activity. I mean, I know just from my experience just now with some of that lightning reward out here in Bradford County, I know we didn't have an advisory. They didn't have an advisory down there in at least the last 60 minutes toward Ocala proper, but some lightning, and really it can be kind of problematic here as we're looking at the overall situation. I'm going to switch it back so I can see myself in the monitor. But again, I just appreciate everybody tuning on in here and trusting me as we're looking at the overall situation. I know, again, some of those thunderstorms, even if they're not severe, not even technically strong, can still be noteworthy here. Just whenever thunder roars go indoors, a thunderstorm that's not even technically strong can still be deadly, is what I'm trying to say. One lightning strike is all it takes, unfortunately. So just whenever thunder roars, go indoors here. You want to download that Cloudweather app as well. As we're looking at the overall situation, that Cloudweather app, really helpful in these type of scenarios here. As we're watching things, hearing some interesting thunder here around Bradford County, but again, the Cloudweather app definitely can be helpful in these type of situations here because it gives you lightning alerts. It informs you here of that electrical energy there in your overall vicinity. You can have it set there and then maybe get an alert even for lightning 15 miles or so away. So that can be really helpful here as we're looking at the situation. Let's go ahead and we'll kind of broaden this on out. Let's go up to our severe thunderstorm warning again. Let's get on in here and we'll go ahead and keep looking at this. Just looking between some of the different modes. That wind signal is a little weaker right now, but it's still there as we get toward areas around Franklinville, the BMS community there. And then you can see Cherry Creek Hills showing up there at points, and then Academy Acres, the Northgate Manor Trailer Park, Cherokee Plantation Country Club Estates. Again, we have some enhancement here on that operator with some of that wind energy. Again, seeing here the signal For sure. Just trying to keep you informed here. Just trying to keep you informed on the overall developments. Again, we have the latest here showing up with a severe thunderstorm warning in play again till 6:30. I know there's an advisory north of area just popping up, but you can see here Lowndes County, Brooks County, Lanier County. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning. Seeing some wind signals here that are noteworthy within the Doppler radar algorithms. I know we're looking at some of the different roads in here. Of course, this is I-75 over in here. And I'll go ahead and put that labeling on for a moment here. You'll see what I'm talking about. And you'll be able to see some of this when I kind of zoom around. There you go, I-75. Telling that story. This is just east of that here in general with some of the worst of this. So, again, just trying to keep you informed here on the latest developments. So, again, you have Orr Road, Staten Road, Skipper Bridge Road there, in towards South Georgia with a severe thunderstorm warning in place. So, again, just trying to keep you informed the best I can. We're hearing rain now here east of Stark. So let me jump back down here. So that rain there, falling as we're tracking the overall scenario. Zooming on in here toward Bradford County. I mean, honestly, surprised I hadn't heard it louder, before now, because it's kind of been coming across, but now into some of those heavier downpours. And sometimes the radar isn't just perfect here in terms of that, because we really hadn't got a whole bunch. It's been falling a little bit. I mean, maybe 1/10 of an inch on the rain gauge added, here in the last little bit, up to 0.19 for today. But now I'm hearing a heavy rate of rainfall. I can hear it very, very loudly here where I am in the studio as we're tracking the overall situation, looking at my alert board. Just trying to keep you guys informed here the very best I can. So, just looking through some of the different details here. Just going through some of the information. Again, it doesn't have a huge spatial coverage to it, but it's potentially severe based on what we're seeing. I know you look at a car and then you can kind of go under the hood sometimes of that car. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're looking at velocity mode here on the Doppler. You can kind of see, I mean, maybe on the hood there of the car, I mean, you can't tell anything's wrong. But when you get under there, you can see there are quite a few things wrong, maybe with your engine or something. And here is a situation where when we go to velocity mode, you can kind of see here that we do have some wind here in play that could be noteworthy down toward the surface. That's kind of, we're looking at reflectivity. Now that does show, a pretty nasty picture here. But when we go to this, you can see we're seeing some more intricacies about what's going on here with this overall scenario. So again, we do have here some wind potential as we're looking toward parts of South Georgia right now. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect for another half an hour. We'll try to get into cloud there at 5:30. I know we're in an extended edition again because of some severe thunderstorm warning activity during the show. Second day in a row, we had that warning in Gadsden County yesterday. Not quite as prominent of a signal, maybe in the Doppler for as long. Granted, we did get a damage report from that yesterday. I know I didn't get that in here during the show, but let me go ahead and look through some of my information. I'll kind of read that off to you. Under that report yesterday, a tree down on Strong Road around the Greensboro area in Gadsden County. So definitely storms having an impact there for sure, as we're keeping you up to date. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. See that lightning here? All that electrical energy, of course. Just whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors here. You want to go indoors as we're looking at the overall situation. I mean, that applies anywhere, though, in our viewing circle where there's lightning. Whether you have a warning, an advisory, or just you're hearing some of those rumbles of thunder. Or even if you just got the alert on the app for lightning 15 miles away, you really need to be aware of your surroundings there. And it's probably best to go ahead and go in. I mean, you might be able to wait, a few more miles, depending on if you're just, where it depends, it depends on where you're at as we're looking at the overall situation. So if you're like right by your front door, I mean, you might have a few more seconds to spare, but it's still better to be safe than sorry in general here as we're looking at things. See 30-mile-an-hour wind there toward parts of Union County showing up here on the Doppler radar signal right now. Okay, looks like a new warning now. Is that warning north of our area, though? And we used to cover Cook County, our viewers in Adel, that used to watch us there. I know we had one at least. We don't cover that area anymore as of May 1st, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Cook County until 7 p.m. for a severe thunderstorm. There in Adel, and that's moving off toward the north and the west. So that's actually not moving toward our coverage area then, even though the other one that's in our area is moving southwest. So kind of interesting here with the overall meteorological picture as I go through some of the different modes here. Again, just trying to keep you up to date. This one, we'll put it into motion, but we're seeing different interactions of the boundary here, and you can kind of see that one here. That's going off more to the northwest based on what we're seeing, and then the other one, the other area is going off toward the south and west, more in the direction of I-75. Got another area there as we get off toward areas further west here. So we're talking, of course, about parts of Brooks County there. You can see as we get on in around Quitman, maybe some upscale growth a little bit as I look at some of my different modes. Granted, I'm not seeing a whole bunch. I mean, this really looks, oh, we just got it. So I guess I was onto something there as we were looking. I didn't see a whole bunch, but it's enough for a new warning now. As we're looking at the situation, not getting any advance notice on that, just seeing some different radar signals here, though, as we're looking. Severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Brooks County and south central Georgia until 7 p.m. At 6:02 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Quitman, moving westward about 10 miles an hour. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. We're talking about Quitman, Barwick. It looks like areas there around Dixie, Grooverville, Brooks County Airport, Hollis, Oaklawn. So new severe thunderstorm warning now at 7 p.m. there as we're looking toward parts of Brooks County. So we have 3 warnings, 2 of those in our area, 1's not, as we're looking at the overall picture here. But you can see quite a bit of lightning in this frame. Let me go ahead and tilt this the other way as we kind of switch things around. You can kind of see we're getting that eruption of, some severe potential here. Some of these different pockets meteorologically coming together here on us. We have 3 yellow boxes. Again, 2 of them in our area. One's just north of the viewing circle. As we look here, Brooks County till 7. Another part of Brooks County with this other axe until 6:30. Lowndes until 6:30. Lanier until 6:30, though. It looks like right now Lanier's kind of in a spot where it's not necessarily moving in that direction, but there's still some dangerous lightning, maybe well away from the apparent thunderstorm in that vicinity. So you gotta be really careful. All these lightning strikes that are flashing indicate lightning strikes here in just the last 60 seconds. Some of these, no doubt, cloud to ground. Some of them probably cloud to cloud, though. Cloud to ground, the most dangerous, obviously. And so go ahead and keep looking here. Again, looking at the overall situation, you can see we have some storm action, strong storm action around Cross City there, and toward parts of Dixie County. We do have the heavy rain here in Bradford County. I'm up to 3/10 of an inch on the rain gauge, a little over that 0.32 now. So 1/3 of an inch for today here. Needs to start with the temperature dropped. It was in the 80s here not that long ago, down into 75 now. There it used to start because I'm looking here. Still going to have those, higher dew point values, though, for sure, which makes it still kind of swampy because it is raining out there, even after the rain leaves, though, is what I'm talking about, really, as we're looking at the overall situation. So let's see if there's any more questions, comments here on this Thursday, this Friday Eve. I'm sticking with some severe weather coverage right now. I know we have John B. Watson saying just on 301 near Citron is pretty windy. So down towards Citra there. Let's go ahead and kind of look here at the Doppler vantage point there as we kind of get into where some of our zones on our map wanted to jump around sometimes. You see, that's where the radar view's coming from, Duval County. But let's go ahead and get down here. As we look down towards some of our different zones, you can see Citra right in here on 301. We'll go back 30 minutes. You can see how things kind of developed and moved on in there across Citra and 301 in northern parts of Marion County there. So just kind of giving you guys the very latest on that there. As we're looking, still some pretty heavy rain coming through there. But yeah, I could see how it would kind of just be, something a little bit not like what you want to deal with there when you have some of that lightning coming through. You're trying to get home maybe or something like that, go somewhere. Just got to be, careful, obviously, on those roads here as we're looking at the inclement situation. So, again, just trying to keep you up to date here as we're looking toward parts of northern Marion County. Well, we just had an advisory in play, but now as we get past 6, that advisory is not in play anymore, but still some nasty weather down there. So let's go ahead and see what else we have. We will have another weather trivia question here eventually, unless we really go long, and then we might push it into tomorrow's so instead. But the way we're going to 7 o'clock with this one warning, we may end up just having to kind of condense things eventually. We'll just have to wait and see here as things do progress. We were, hoping the storm coverage would kind of limit warnings. We were seeing that for a while, but now we've seen these little pockets here in the viewing circle. Part of our area not seeing the severe warning stuff developing a little bit earlier on. Other parts of our area, we're getting those pockets here to allow for storm development. That's why we have 2 warnings on the board right now in our viewing circle. As we see the temperature view here, you can see 75 toward Stark, 79 toward Gainesville as we're looking, but it is a little bit warmer as to you get toward like Live Oak there. But Madison's at 93, Valdosta's at 90. That tells you we had more energy here available. I'm going to look at my energy map here that I have available to me behind the scenes, and it definitely tells a story about 2,500 joules per kilogram around Stark. But as we look there toward like Thomasville, it's over 4,000 joules. I know the Valdosta stuff's kind of right on the edge of that. Tallahassee also has about 4,500 joules per kilogram. So got to be kind of careful here. This may hang around a while on us if things kind of play out the way they're looking. Some of the models had some of the stuff later on, and Tallahassee's temperature right now, let's see what it is on my mother mode here. It's 87, 91 in Gadsden County. So we may start, seeing, through about sunset here, maybe some strong and severe thunderstorms in this corridor, unfortunately. I know we had some stuff in Jefferson County, but there may be enough instability here for this to kind of hold together. And at least you see it kind of tracking across Georgia more than anything right now. So you might be watching Thomas, but you just never know with this summer stuff. I'm trying to, give you the best, forecast that I can. It may not play out like this, but let's pull up some model guidance here. It was kind of showing some of that earlier. Now, it looks like it kind of dropped that idea, but I don't know if it's even showing what's going on now. We'll watch it through one more time from the start together here. It's not really doing a good job again, but again, it was showing some stuff earlier on for the evening hours here. As I was looking through some of it earlier on, I kind of see maybe a burst there, a potential in some of those western areas. That was one of the solutions. So this may have a chance to hold together here, but we'll just track it where the warnings are right now as we're looking at the overall information. I know we still got to be really careful with the lightning around toward the east for sure, but as we look off toward the west here in parts of our south central Georgia zones, again, trying to keep you informed. Again, we're starting off as if we're going to have a normal show, but again, it's a situation where things took that, shift here. Took that shift into having to do some severe weather coverage with some severe thunderstorm warnings on the board. Let me see if there's any more questions, comments here on this Thursday, this Friday Eve. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in. It looks like we have 9 folks watching right now on YouTube. Just appreciate you guys tuning on. I know that active radar picture, that was a headline I used here, but definitely going from just active here to something where we have that severe potential around. And speaking of some of that, let's look at some of those power outages. I think, that's something I saw a few of them earlier on with a strong accent, but yeah, now we got quite a bit more in terms of spatial coverage as it updates here live on the air. The latest information, we have 2.5% out in Lowndes County where that warning is, and that looks to be the highest percentage here within our 38 counties. So again, just trying to keep you guys up to date here for sure. Let's go ahead. We'll go on over here. We'll go on over to some of the different modes here. As I'm looking at things, velocity mode. Still got quite a bit of wind energy here as we get near Lucas Richardson Road here. 48 miles an hour. Again, just trying to keep you updated the best I can. Going to look through some of my different tools here in the toolkit right now. Just looking through some of the tools here in the toolkit. I'm going to show you guys some other information. That's going to be in the form of power outages here through county power outage total. And somehow it always slips to visibility. I'm not sure why it does that, but 1,500 in the dark there right now toward Lowndes County as we're looking at the overall information right now. So Again, trying to keep you up to date, trying to keep you informed on the overall situation, just trying to be here for you the best I can, looking through some of the different, metrics that we have here meteorologically. Again, seeing that in our area there around Lowndes County with that amount of customers, electric customers in the dark. And mind you, as you see a number like that, it's not necessarily just confined here, not just confined, to really this, 1,500 means 1,500 people. A lot of households, of course, have 2, 3 people. Some of them, some of these outages involve businesses. So you're talking about maybe 3,000 people, give or take, 4,000 people, give or take, here being affected by a power outage situation right now in Lowndes County. That evening dinner might not be happening right now in that traditional method, in that traditional fashion here. As we're looking at things right now toward Lowndes County, for instance, I know it's a situation where schools is kind of getting back into session, and maybe that family dinner is having to happen right now there with flashlights around instead as we're looking at things. Or maybe candlelight, but you got to be very, very careful. You got to be very careful, obviously, as soon as that dinner's over, to blow those candles out because you don't want them to flip over. That's not really recommended, but that is technically an option if you're very, very careful here. Just maybe during that dinner time frame, having to eat that dinner there in the dark. So again, mostly in the dark. Again, flashlights, candles helping maybe a little bit, but again, candles are very dangerous in general, and that can lead to house fire. They've tried about here before. It's not really generally recommended, but again, something that's an option for a very short period of time, and then you go ahead and make sure that they are out. So again, looking towards Suwannee County, 500, 600 out in Columbia County. We have 100 out in Baker, 100 out in Ware. We have a Putnam County, 100 in the dark. Levy County, 100 customers out. Marion County, 200 customers in the dark. So, of course, the big one, though, is Lowndes County. We have 1,500 customers in the dark right now without electricity. As we're looking at the storm activity, let's go ahead here. We're going to jump back on over to the other mode. We have 2 local warnings right now. The third and around Adel north of our area, but you see it's impacting them in Adel right now along I-75. So that is impacting travel, of course, as you're going up 75, maybe just leaving our area or coming back into our area. Severe thunderstorm warning there as we're looking toward parts of Cook County till 7 p.m. As that situation is one where we have some damaging wind potential, 60-mile-an-hour gust potential, quarter-size hail potential as well there. I know the warning for Valdosta is for quarter-size hail and 60, and then that warning for Brooks is for 60 and quarter too. So, again, just got to be careful with that. Let's put hail tracker up. Let's go back over to hail tracker. See some of that hail. It looks like the worst of this maybe up just north of area in Adel, but some of this could be being hidden by the lightning here. As we're looking north of Valdosta, there's some of these communities on the northern periphery of Valdosta, really. Orr Road, Staten Road, Bemis Road there. As we're looking at the overall situation. So, just reading over the warning here, we have areas there like Lake Park also included in this warning here as we're looking downstream. So that's something to be mindful of. So we're going to keep watching these trends. Let's at least get into a little bit of this show here. This looks a tad bit weaker than equipment. I don't know if I like that as much, though, because I see a little bit of this kind of. Let's talk about them a little because you're seeing a little bit of that green post up now right over town. So we'll talk about this real quick here around Oglesby Street there. You can kind of see 26, 28 miles an hour. So maybe winds about 50 there, showing up in that burst of wind energy possibly as we're looking toward this zone. So something to be mindful of here as I'm keeping you informed. Again, seeing that around Quitman there, we're seeing the lightning here north of Valdosta. As we look here in some of these different communities, it's just is impacting some different communities. 5 Points, Country Club Estates, Academy Acres there. Again, you see the lightning flashing this whenever thunder roars. You want to go indoors here. Seeing quite a bit of lightning there north of our area there. As well up toward Atkinson County and Douglas, up toward Coffee. We used to cover those zones and seeing some lightning. We've got quite a bit of lightning right here. I don't know if I love how that looks on radar in some ways. as we're looking at things here in parts of Union County. So right around the Providence community, honestly, a little bit of burst of wind energy potential here. As we're watching there, that's why we got an advisory now. This kind of moves toward the Ellisville area there. It looks like it's moving up toward the west. Let me see what they're saying in the advisory here from the Weather Service in Jacksonville. They just sent that on out. Let me see what they're saying. Just going through some more different tools here that I have in the toolkit. 40-mile-an-hour wind gust potential. Moving west at 10 miles an hour. So that's showing up right now, though, around Providence. Let's put some of these roads on. Around Southwest 2nd Street, Brown, and it looks like Roberts Road. So it could have, a tree or two get knocked down, even if it's not a severe storm officially. Just that burst of wind energy real quick looks pretty prominent. Let's see how these views show from different angles. The Jacksonville's some more just one direction type of wind, but they're pretty. Let's see that distance. They're about 4,000 feet from Jacksonville. And Valdosta is about 4,500 feet. So it actually is, the situation in Jacksonville is just a tad bit closer, but not by much. So it may be the more realistic view than you would think. And under that, case there, with that line of thinking, then we have winds that are more like 30 to, 35, maybe showing up, maybe not quite as strong, but just don't know exactly what's getting down toward the surface as we're looking at things meteorologically. So we're watching these warnings. I have a flood advisory in here. See how much rain's, falling in these areas. We have a drought outlook to get to. We have a lot to get to in the show, but we have to stick with these warnings right now, at least until I see some, maybe weakening trends, and then we can kind of go bouncing, back and forth here as we're looking. But let's go to dual pole storm total. Seeing some, readings here. It's about 4 inches there. That's pretty significant there as we're looking. Northern parts of Lowndes County there, Franklinville to Barrett. It's quite a bit of rain here in a pretty short period of time. So we have a flood advisory at 8:15 now in play as we're looking at things. I know seeing some of that in here. We're looking east of Hira. In that general vicinity there, I tried to draw that on the best I could from the broad view. Not as much around Quitman now. This is also a little weaker. We still have the warning here for another 11 minutes. But I think what we're going to do, we're going to keep watching these carefully, but we'll start bouncing back and forth, I think, at this point to some of our normal content here in the show, because I have quite a few things planned. I was kind of hoping, I saw the potential here for some severe, but I was kind of hoping that maybe we wouldn't, end up getting these warnings. Have to be prepared both ways. It's kind of like the network affiliates after a college football game, maybe on a Saturday night, in terms of maybe one of those, they have that hour between like 7 to 8 Eastern, 6 to 7 Central, depending on where you're watching from. You should be watching hopefully from you're probably watching from Eastern. Let me see if there's any questions, comments real quick before I get too much more into this. But I appreciate everybody tuning on in and trusting me here. As we're looking, I'm just kind of thinking about how the schedules work there in terms of the college football scenario, though, in terms of like that hour window. But sometimes the game runs over, the post game runs over. There's only 10 minutes to give the whole newscast there, really, something like that. Or maybe it's, something where it's a whole hour. You have to prepare for the whole hour, and then you have to whittle things down one by one there. And today that we actually, can do it different because we can stay on as long as we want to. We're not confined. We don't just have to, as soon as the warnings are over, go off. We can get in that normal show, but still, eventually I can get, if I'm on for hours and hours, it gets where my voice is a little tired or something like that. But we're going to try to get a normal show here as we're looking at things, looking at the alert board, things like that here, as I keep you guys up to date. Seeing some strong storm action at times toward like Columbia County there. So I have to watch that carefully there on the Doppler vantage point, that Doppler perspective. So again, just appreciate everybody tuning on in here and trusting me as I update you the best I can. I'm going to check questions and comments again. I know sometimes when I get into the storm coverage, I don't look at this quite as much here, just because I'm, kind of busy with that. But it's just kind of, it's a one-man band, so I'm trying to do the best I can to keep you guys safe and informed here as I'm looking at things here with a Doppler perspective. But again, let's go ahead here Again, remind you guys of our counties. Remind you guys of the counties here for a few moments. And tell you that, I'm in Bradford County, but we covered East 38. And we have a severe warning for Brooks. That goes till 7. We have one for parts of Brooks, Lanier, and Lowndes until 6:30. Now, the Brooks, of course, that's not for all of Brooks, but you get the idea. And then Cooks, north of our area, so it's not on this map. It's a warning until 7, as well as we're looking there in toward the overall meteorological picture. So, again, that's kind of a recap of all that there as we're looking at things the best we can. Again, just trying to keep you up to date, but I'm going to come back on camera now, and I'm going to go ahead and try to get into this full report here, and then we'll go back and forth between the warnings here as necessary. So here we go. As we look at the high temperatures, you can kind of see here the overall storyline. 91 so far toward Turk, but we're down to 74 after we got 4/10 of an inch of rain on my rain gauge here east of Stark. 94 to high in Perry there in Taylor County. As we're looking at the overall mapping, 91 toward Tallahassee there. I mean, it got pretty warm, but it's kind of dark outside now. 74 degrees, that rain around here in Bradford County making things, I mean, it looks again like it did yesterday, a little bit like a winter day out there if you're not looking at the thermometer and you haven't been outside, but it's not a winter day here this time of, period here as we're looking at the overall scenario. Because it is still pretty, muggy out there. 73 now on the reading. It is early August as we're looking at that calendar. But as we go ahead and look here at more information now in terms of those temperatures, currently we do have 75 towards Stark, 79 Gainesville. So you see that rain corridor that I'm talking about. You have 93 toward Madison. So you see the disparity though. But Austin's dropped a big, bit there. A good ways. 77 there in Lowndes County, but 93 toward Madison there in toward Madison County. So 77 for Austin, 93 Madison, 16-degree differential there, and it's not that far apart, between those two locations. So not that far apart, not a big distance. But as we see here, the heat indexes, you can see that storyline, 101 toward Madison there, 100 toward Bainbridge. And the core, though, as we get toward Ocala, down toward Putnam County, Palatka there, definitely core in terms of those readings there. Just the overall disparities, Bainbridge at 100. We'll have to see if we have some more storm formation out that way or pushing out that way later. That could be an issue that we'll have to be, continuing with here as we look ahead in the timeline. There's dew points here, 75 toward Stark. That mugginess definitely there, 78 toward Bainbridge. As we're giving you the very latest information there on everything. Again, a little bit of that mugginess in play, but I mean, just Valdosta, Live Oak there, we have some of that storm action in the vicinity here right now toward, Lowndes County, for instance, toward Valdosta. So that's definitely having an effect on the reading there some as we're looking up that way. As I keep looking at my alert board. I'm going to look at some other details down here. Still got the 3 warnings, one out of the area. One goes away in 6 minutes, and the other one still, in play till 7 p.m. As we're looking, a little west of Valdosta, of course, as we're looking out toward Brooks County. So, again, let's go ahead and see, though, toward those wind gust numbers. We've got some gustier winds around at points here as we're keeping you up to date. 12 miles an hour. Yeah, I know sometimes these readings, the color table doesn't always go with these because it's kind of estimating things. These really look off here just based on sometimes different points. You have that little bit more potential here. It's not always quite like that, but definitely I see in some of the gustier storms and spots here. But as rain chances here, they're going to be on the uptrend here as we look toward like Saturday. Today was pretty high at 70. Tomorrow I had at 50. It's up to 60 now, 80% for that Saturday at this point in time. So 60 for that Friday, 80% for that Saturday, 60% for that Sunday there as we're looking at things the best we can. And then you start to see maybe going down a roller coaster as school starts back here for the Florida county. That'd be some good news, but still got to be careful whenever thunder roars. You need to go indoors. And then as we go ahead and look here now at the European rainfall forecast totals through the weekend, you see the broad brush isn't overwhelming, but we see the hyperlocal levels. This isn't going to pick up, the global model not going to pick up on those little areas there, these little intricacies meteorologically as we're looking at things. As we're updating you, these little areas here, these little dots on the radar, we're not going to have a situation here where just these global models are going to be able to see that pop-up acts and the stuff kind of getting going and then kind of fading away. It's going to pick up on the broader trends. So this is the broad trend, but some spots way more, some spots not much rain at all. But I mean, it enters her on Gainesville here through the weekend. As we're looking toward like Alachua County and toward Duval, maybe around 3/4 on average. Tallahassee about 6/10 of an inch on average there as we're looking out toward the west, or toward parts of our western zones. And you get toward Bainbridge, they're only about 3/10 of an inch. I think we just got a new warning. Let's see what that's all about. Okay, so let's jump back on over. I saw it pop up on my board here. Did they just extend? Let's see what we got. See, Tallahassee issued a warning, so let me go through here. Lowndes and Brooksville 7:30 now, so another hour. Okay, so another hour now, and we're looking at the overall situation. I'm looking at some of my different screens, and you see that new broader polygon for another hour here of severe thunderstorm potential as we're looking toward parts of south central Georgia. So let's see if we had any uptrends here lately. You can see here right as we're getting in there, 44 miles an hour on the wind mode toward parts of Lowndes, that line there with Brooks. So that potential there. I mean, you'll see a little bit of burst of wind energy possibilities here on Delwood. So let's go ahead and get on in here. You see around Bay Tree Road, Remerton. Again, seeing that Wood Valley. So a little bit of that burst of wind potential here. As we're updating the best I can. Eager Road. You see some of these different spots here. If you add those together, that's close to 58 miles an hour, which is the severe limit here to get a severe thunderstorm warning. So have that potential there now till about 7:30. As we're watching the overall situation, again, severe thunderstorm warning. Let me read off that new box, by the way, as I click on that. So on my other mode here, the National Weather Service in Tallahassee has issued a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to put it up on reflectivity as well. So let me go ahead and put it on reflectivity. And we're going to go ahead and click on this new warning. That's the old warning. There's some overlap. It's kind of hard to see sometimes. There's a new one. I was trying to click on Lowndes because that's where some of our focus is right now, even though it's a different part of the county. So again, let me go ahead and read this off. So western Lowndes, Brooks County, south central Georgia, severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30 at 6:26 there. Severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from near Hihara to near I-75 at exit 16, moving west at 10 miles an hour. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible. Quitman, Valdosta, Hihara, I-75 at exit 16, Remerton, Morven, Barney, Valdosta Regional Airport there. You have Kinderloo. You have areas there on I-75 at exit 29, Impress, Clyateville, Brooks County Airport, Blue Springs, I-75 at exit 11, I-75 at exit 22 as well. So another hour of this potential hanging around Valdosta, it looks like, into where the overall region, more into where town now, right into town now. We were given that track earlier on, and you can see some of that. Let's get over to some of these different modes here on velocity, and then back to this radar mode here as we zoom on in these different roads. Bay Tree Road, Norman Drive, River Street, West Side Road. As we're updating the best we can, again, Pebblewood, 5 Points there, Northgate Manor Trailer Park. Again, just seeing here some of these different areas getting a nasty, nasty summer storm. Even though school's back there in Lowndes County, this is still, a storm that's pretty nasty. We're still in meteorological summer, and we can still have this potential here as we're looking toward these different zones. So, again, 6:30 is on the dot, right now, 6:30 on the dot here. That's what we're seeing right now with that clock. And I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center trying to keep you up to date here. Let me see if there's any questions, comments, trying to keep you informed. Looks like we have Jason Peter Royal Adventures watching. We also have Nair Nix watching. Just appreciate you guys tuning on in here on this Thursday here. Just appreciate the viewership here. Looks like we have 11 viewers right now on YouTube. Just appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Thursday as we're trying to keep you guys updated, keep you informed the very best we can, and give you guys the very latest information. So. Looking here at the latest on the scans. Again, around Valdosta, seeing some of that wind energy here as we're updating you. Valdosta Highway, Troopville Road. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in play here till 7:30 for parts of Lowndes County. It's another hour here of this, potentially. We'll see. Hopefully it'll weaken out before that. Let's get back in toward the equipment area. A lot less intense there, but they're also under the broader box. They might drop the smaller one and just kind of ride the one out there. Of course, we have a warning north of our area as well on Adele or on I-75. They're impacting those communities up there just north of the viewing circle or on Sparks Adele area. Some damage and wind potential there. We've had some hail potential in here, a little bit more than normal. Let's see what our reports. See if I know there was a report earlier on of Augusta 39. That was way earlier. Let's see if there's any new reports in this other mode. I don't see it on my other source here yet. Anything showing up. But in the northern area, we've had some stuff today. Toward areas there on Long County, Georgia, tree reported down there in the 3 o'clock hour, and then in the 4 o'clock hour, some peace-size hail. And now seeing though this in our coverage area here with this impact. So again, just trying to give you guys the very latest. Let me go ahead and I'll check questions, comments again, then I'm going to get back into the show. We'll keep going back and forth here on the overall scenario, giving you guys the very latest on everything. And I keep you informed, just looking through all our different tools here in the toolkit. So let's go ahead here. We'll go back over. Again. This is that rainfall total information and, the overall forecast here through the weekend. So again, seeing these numbers here, an inch or less here on the broad scale, but again, on the hyper-local scale, it can be quite a bit more here, as I've been talking about even here today. Again, that's, that overall story with that. But just whenever thunder roars here, go indoors. Lightning can strike miles away from a parent storm. And we're seeing that electrical energy around here. Just got to be really cognizant of that, as we've been talking about with this. But now, I'm going to get to this question, and we'll kind of let it sit here. We'll go back to our warning, but we are going to get in our trivia question here today. As again, we do have these severe storms, with the overall setup here potentially in play right now, but we're kind of, going back and forth to give you the latest. It's not a tornado warning or anything, so I feel comfortable in at least getting this in a little, and we'll go back and then we'll give you the answer. But I want you guys to try to figure this answer out. We're doing something a little bit different. Started this yesterday here on the show. We may not do it every day here, just kind of as time permits when I'm working ahead of time. Of course, now on the show today, we haven't really had time to permit to show this. We've been on for an hour. Haven't been able to get to this, but which one of these FSU football home games was not delayed by lightning? I had a question like this yesterday, but the choices, there were 4 different choices. So, yesterday we had 4 of them up there. 3 had been delayed, 1 not delayed. Same with this, 3 more, of these delayed. So that's 6 total out of that grouping. There's more that I could have even had on a graphic here, but 6 total. 3 we talked about yesterday here that had been delayed. Texas State there in 2015 that had been delayed by lightning. As we were watching the overall situation, as we're trying to keep you guys up to date. I know Georgia Tech in 2020 had been delayed by lightning with the question yesterday, as we were updating you. And then I'm trying to remember these off the top of my head. My mind, we've had these warning acts in here the last little bit. So just trying to remember what the other one was here. As we were looking, it was Kent State last year, actually. That was one that had also been delayed by lightning. But here we have 3 more of these that have been delayed, 1 not delayed. Which of these 4, was not delayed by lightning? This is kind of a trick question, to be completely honest. So go ahead and kind of get your answers in here in the comment section if you can. And I'll get back to this here in just a little bit on this cloud weather at 5:30 extended edition here, because of the severe warnings in play here as we're looking at the overall scenario. We have Top Cat guessing, asking, is it C there? Is it C? Well, we'll just have to kind of find out here. I know sometimes that's kind of the old saying here, I guess. It has been, sometimes you just get C on a test or something, and you might get it right. Might get it right this time here as well, but we'll find out in just a few minutes here as we kind of get back into that. But again, let's go back to our severe thunderstorm warning situation right now in towards South Georgia. Again, we've been on with this for the last hour, trying to give you guys the very latest here toward Valdosta, toward Lowndes County here. You can see around Ashley Street, Oak Street there. Just kind of giving you guys the overall information. 40 miles an hour with the wind, 32 miles an hour. You can kind of see that overall potential there as we're looking at the information. Trying to update the best I can with this severe thunderstorm warning in play until 7:30 p.m. So again, we have that accent still hanging on. Let's loop this over the last hour or so, and we'll kind of put this in motion. So I'll take the sweep off, and we'll go ahead and hit the past hour. And you can kind of see here the progression of things, not, very far has this storm activity moved here geographically. So again, just trying to watch things the best I can here. Just trying to update you guys here the best I can with this severe thunderstorm warning situation there. Again, our lightning counter, had been going up. It started to tick back down there in that last scan or two. So that's a good sign. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of weakening. We'll just have to kind of wait and see here as I update the very best I can on the overall situation. So I appreciate everybody tuning on into Severe Thunderstorm warning for another almost hour as we're looking in north parts of South Georgia here. As we're looking in north parts of South Georgia. Again, trying to update you. You see that wind potential there. Delwood, Eager, Bremerton, around I-75 there. Let's go ahead and go in toward the outage mode here, the power outage mode. And you can see us, on my screen it was taking its time anyway, but we have almost 3% in the dark there in toward Lowndes County. As we're looking over that way, let's go ahead and see what I can pull up over here. So let's see what this number is now in terms of electric customers in the dark. Still showing 1,500 there in the dark. And north of our area, just north of the area there in North Cook County, we have about 1,000 customers without electricity. So quite a few in the dark right now as we're looking at things the best I can. Just trying to keep you guys up to date. Again, just appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Thursday, this day before, that finally Friday here. Some folks like Lanier County, Georgia, starting school back here as we're looking at the overall situation, or not Lanier, Eccles. I know I've been talking too much here about, just all, every county it seems like here in our zone, whether it's back to school or severe, it's Eccles tomorrow. That's the one that's going back. I'll have that full graphic for you in the next little bit. So I'll be getting to that here soon as time permits here. Just trying to give you guys the very latest here. Eccles, the county, the one county out of our 38 going back to the classroom on that Friday. So we're talking about right just east of here. I mean, you see this is Eccles County right here. We have Statenville. It'll pop up eventually. There's Tarver, but then Statenville here. And that's really where we have a lot of folks at there. It's a small county overall, but in terms of the percentages in that county, that's the county in our area that's going back to school, going back to the classroom here on that Friday. So the other 37 either haven't gone back yet in terms of the public schools, or they've already gone back there, as we're looking. But for that one, for Eccles there, for Eccles County, it's tomorrow on that Friday. You're starting things off, in terms of, parents that are watching right now, sending your kids to the classroom, send those kids to the classroom maybe for the first time, some of those younger ages, something like that. So again, just something to be very mindful of here as we're keeping you guys informed. So again, hopefully the weather will be holding out. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. I'll have that full forecast on that here soon as we're looking at the situation involving that. Let's go ahead and dive back into some of these details here, though. You can kind of see 30 miles an hour here. That's a weaker signal there, but we still have some wind potential here, hanging around Bremerton, maybe knocking a tree down here or there, a power line down here or there. So if you're watching from that area, give me a report in the comments here about how things are going in terms of the overall impact there toward parts of that area. So we have Brooks, we have Lowndes, as we look there until 7:30 with that overall impact. Let's see if we have any new updates here from the Weather Service. Nothing new, but 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts are not tracking the hail potential to an inch at this point. Something to take note of as we're looking at the overall meteorology as we're trying to keep you guys informed. So, do we have an advisory down here to the south? Let's go to Jacksonville radar. Here in the parts of Alachua County now. Seeing some wind potential there. Northwest Alachua County, 22 miles an hour. We have some lightning around Lake Butler there in Union County. And they go back to school next Wednesday in Union County, by the way. We'll see you guys out here in the next little bit. But let me check here. I got our special weather statement information up right here. So, I know Columbia and Union, there's a flood advisory until 9:30, and then let's see here. We have the broader advisory, a little bit of Bradford there involved. I mean, it's really quite a bit as you look. I mean, under this, I mean, not all of Stark, but part of Stark. But we have a special weather statement here until 7. But the worst of that, the 40-mile-an-hour wind potential more toward Brooker and Lake Butler, and then a lot to wind toward Gainesville there at this point in time. As we're looking at the overall meteorological storyline. So, not quite the severe limits here with that special weather statement, but seeing some of that impact there. I talked about a flood advisory as well as we're looking at things. And let me go ahead and pull up, I'm pulling up some different modes here. I'm going to pull up another mode here, though, that we can go to last 6 hours with the rainfall accumulation. With the rainfall accumulation here, a couple inches there, northwestern Alachua, north central. That's probably more north central, yeah. As I kind of look there closer, with some of that. Again, updating the best I can. To drag the map around. Seeing some of that action in Georgia. To just see if it holds together toward the west. Let's see what Thomasville's temperature is right now. I mean, different boundaries can, do different things. They're cooler in Thomasville now, so maybe we'll be in a little bit better shape there as we're looking at things, in terms of movement off toward the west there as things kind of sometimes, weaken on down there in terms of the overall setup. Let me check the energy values there on instability map. It was a little bit higher. It was over 4,000 earlier. We're now sitting under 4,000 joules per kilogram, but still pretty high. And north of our area, we're getting a report now of a tree down across Highway 41 going towards Cecil there, going toward the Cecil area there as we're looking toward parts of Cook County. So, again, just trying to keep you up to date here on the overall scenario. Let's see if there's any more questions, comments here from any of the viewers at home. Again, just appreciate everybody tuning on in. Looks like we had 14 folks watching right now. Just appreciate the viewership here on this Friday Eve. Again, just trying to update the best I can. Just trying to be here for you. Let me go ahead and kind of go over to some of the different modes here. We're going to go ahead and switch on over to the Doppler mode here. Again, we have that severe thunderstorm warning. Off parts of Lowndes, we have areas there as we get toward Brooks there as well as 7:30 p.m. So, again, right now, at least that's the overall length of the warning in play. But we'll have to see how things kind of shift around this weekend some. But there's still a lot of lightning in this area. We have 66 strikes here in the past 15 minutes. But earlier on, you see there's quite a bit more in this frame. But you can kind of see that latest, scan, the last few really even. We're really seeing those numbers drop on down here, which is a sign of some weakening in this overall area. Still some flood potential. I don't particularly like all this. Right over about Austin, right over 75. Oh, that's because that can lead to some flooding a little quicker sometimes there than other spots. I mean, right over 75, we're seeing about 2 inches of rain here, pretty short period of time even as we're looking toward that area. So definitely something to take note of as I keep you guys up to date. But let me go ahead. We're going to go back into the show right now. I know you guys maybe were wondering that answer here to that question. Again, which one of these FSU football home games is not delayed by lightning? Again, I feel comfortable enough to go to this, even though we still have some warnings in play because they're not like tornado warnings and I'm seeing some weakening trends. But I've covered it a lot here, really intensively here. The severe thunderstorm warning actions. So even though we still have the yellow boxes on the screen, we're going to, go into some more of our show right now, including something a little bit funner that I put together earlier on, hoping we wouldn't get any warnings. But again, we're going to try to give you this answer here in just a moment. Does anybody else have any guesses here? Put them in the comments there on the different platforms, whatever platform you're watching on, especially I know YouTube's where most of you guys watching right now. If you guys have any guesses, go ahead and put it on in here. I know we have, if you were watching from the low country right now, just appreciate you tuning on in as we're looking at things right now. And just, again, just hoping, everybody's having the best Thursday that, you can out there. Just wondering which one of these, FSU football home games is not delayed by lightning, is kind of what I'm asking you guys. I know the answer, and I'm about to give it to you. But just, you guys have any guesses, just put in the comment section here. I'll give you a few more seconds, and then I know we had Top Cat asking about, is it C? Is C the answer? Fire Larry Trains is saying B. Low Country there, a viewer from the Low Country saying B as well. Jason Peter Royal Adventures saying D there. Is D the answer? We're about to find out here in just a moment as we're looking at the overall information. So again, just trying to keep you guys up to date on that. So we have a few different guesses in now. So I think it's time to go ahead and give you the answer. And actually, the answer is, as we look here, C, the top cat there off the top had that answer there as we're looking at things. USF here. Believe it or not, it's kind of a weird, weird question in terms of, you would think that USF game would have been impacted because we actually had a tornado warning that day toward Perry area that morning. The game started at 11:30, I believe, because of the way scheduling was there on the ESPN Family and Networks. They wanted to start things in the morning so they could have tennis on later on in the timeline. So it actually started in the morning. We had rain that morning. It was my senior year at FSU. We just had a game against Texas State I talked about yesterday. It had been delayed by lightning. This one did not get delayed, though. It started on time. We had some rain, leading up to it. I had to have my poncho on, going to the stadium there that morning. As we were looking at things, going to the stadium there. Had to have my poncho on as we were looking at things there, as we were playing the Bulls there and USF that morning. FSU got that win, got that victory there. And that was, great to see. But there's a situation here where we had a tornado warning toward Perry area, that I believe, as I was getting ready, for that game, seeing that pop up. That was interesting. And, I think I posted that on Twitter, actually, way back when. It's hard to believe it's been, that's September. I'll make that 11 years. But as we go ahead and look here, and of course, it's the X platform's the name for it now, but, Twitter/X is what I call it here on our broadcast. And then just kind of interesting to remember that. We also had some tornadic activity here in Bradford County that day, some EF0 type activity going on up here. Kind of, seeing the reports coming out during the game. A little bit surprising, honestly, seeing those with the accent as it headed further east there. Seeing, those trickle in on my phone. Not right where I'm at, but different part of the county here, different parts, with some of that here in terms of the reporting coming on out here. At least a possible tornadic activity ended up being confirmed there by the National Weather Service in Jacksonville. But Georgia Tech 09, that was actually October. That's unusual because normally we have games that are in August, September delayed. But that was an October one. I remember that one pretty well. I don't actually really remember the Wake Forest one, but I double-checked everything. That was delayed there in 2010. That's when I was in high school. But Wake Forest game in 2010 was delayed. These are all FSU home games. 3 of the 4 delayed by lightning. USF not delayed by lightning. But Wake Forest was a September game, and Duquesne, that was an early season, like a week 0 game, like what FSU's going to have here at the end of this month against New Mexico State. Against Duquesne, though, that was a situation where that, was delayed there a little bit. Off the top, FSU the next week, though, after that game, they had a head start a little bit, and they were able to beat LSU by 1 point. The week after were my Knowles. So it's kind of interesting here, a mix in weather, as I look to make sure we don't have any new updates on these alerts in terms of new polygons popping up. Just something that's just kind of exciting to talk about some different things here sometimes on our Cloud of the broadcast. So let me see if there's any more questions, comments about any of this here as we're looking at the overall situation. Again, just appreciate everybody tuning in there. Next, it said A there, but again, the correct answer was C. On this question here regarding this question, USF here, the answer, the Bulls there, that game was the one that was not delayed by lightning. It's by having tornadic activity, with some tornadic activity here in Bradford County, and then a tornado warning that morning around the Perry area. I believe it was around Taylor County area, at least maybe not right in Perry, but it was in that vicinity there, in that eastern Big Bend, east of where I was. We were regarding more in the rain activity, not the lightning potential necessarily at that point in time, getting ready 9, 10 o'clock hour for that game, somewhere around there. I'm remembering most of that other information off the top of my head, just the, thinking about it when I was getting this together here, about the tornado warning activity there that morning with the Doppler radar, potential showing up. And again, we did actually have some confirmation of stuff here more toward Bradford County. So interesting, some of the different things that we can go to and go through in meteorology. But now let's go to another interesting topic. You see back to school here, county by county, as we look at things. Echols County, the one county going back to the classroom there on that finally Friday. So, as we're looking through our 38 here, a lot of them go back next week, a lot of them on Monday toward our different zones. I know we'll be talking more about that in the, broadcast tomorrow here on our Cloud at 5:30. But again, it's a situation here, Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, Marion, Alachua, Columbia, Suwannee. There's some of them that go back on that Monday, Folkestone area, Charlton County. Also going back, I mean, you can see where they are with colors going back on Monday as well. All the Florida ones, not just our area, but all the 67 counties in the state. The public schools are set to go back between Monday and Wednesday. But now, focusing on Eccles County, Georgia there, you see that first day of school there, 8 a.m., just a very small chance of rain, 5% there as we're looking towards Daytonville, that area there. You see around noon there, 20% chance of rain, 102 for that heat index, 91 for the actual air temperature, and then 93 there by 3 p.m. So warming up some there, 104 that heat index there. So a little bit steamier there. The rain chance a little lower than what I had for our Georgia counties today that were going back to the classroom. Not by much, but Eccles is a little bit further over here in just the overall timeline. It might hold off a little more, but still some lightning potential in there. 93 with a heat index of 104, that 40% chance of rain there as folks go back to the classroom in Eccles County there around the Daytonville area tomorrow on that Friday, August 7th there, 2026. As we go ahead and look at the Atlantic storm names, those are hurricane season names. You see it's a situation we haven't got to a cristobal yet, and we're not really expecting anything anytime soon. We talked about some stuff, they're going to see an increase in moisture towards Saturday, but we're not seeing really any chances with that developing. And I'll just double check because we've been on for over an hour. So I'm going to just make sure here I'm not missing anything, in terms of that. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. And new development still in the next 7 days, according to the Hurricane Center. So that's some great news. And just seeing these names, though, going slow this year, expected to go snow. I can't talk, not snow, but slow. We've been talking for a while here. Expected to go slow here as we're looking at things with this hurricane season for sure. I wish we had snow. We'll have that potential maybe in January. We'll see as we look here. I know we had some of that this past January around the Waycross area there in toward Ware County. Speaking of that, we'll say that, in fact, in our break. We'll take that quick 60-second break here. I'll get more information on our storm action that's in play in towards South Georgia. You'll see some of that snow here from January to us all toward the Waycross area. That was exciting as we're looking and updating you, on things here. Looking at the situation, we're updating you guys the very best we can. In the last half decade or so, our area and the region have been through a lot. Stay safe, but it's going to be memorable. I was there around 4 p.m. to document them. Life-threatening situation here. So, again, that's the storyline there. Oh, I think we just had another power flash. Another power flash. Sometimes Bradford County is a tough spot to see a spin-up tornadoes, so we just want you to go ahead and be inside and away from windows. Can't even completely rule out quick spin-up tornadoes. The things have started to escalate here. Please take shelter. This is going to cause a lot of damage. Radar-confirmed tornado in southeastern Georgia. We're seeing areas there around Perry bear the brunt of this, coming into these communities and ravaging them. That's what we got to get you guys out. You got to run from that water. You got to evacuate. You got to follow these orders. This is as serious of a situation I've seen. This is the eye wall. This is where some of the worst of the weather is. When hazardous weather threatens, trust clouds weather. Okay, I hit the wrong button there. I think you can hear me now. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in here. Trusting me on this extended edition of Cloud Weather at 5:30. Just looking at our alert board here, just trying to keep you up to date the very best I can. Again, we do have these severe thunderstorm warnings that I've been tracking still, and we'll go through that in just a moment. Still around the Valdosta area, but we've seen an overall weakening trend. That's why I've kind of moved on from that some. But you can see, on our list here, Cristobal, the next name on that list here, the slower season here than many recent ones because of El Nino in play. But, this is that hurricane wind scale there, that Saffir-Simpson scale. I know, Debbie, that 2-year anniversary was yesterday. And we had, with Debbie, some of that flat-footing toward Valdosta, for instance, in play here with the overall meteorological pattern with that. But we, had some of that flooding. Some of that was even deadly here in Bradford County, tragically. Wind damage deadly toward the Gulf Coast there. I believe it was Levy County there, one of the areas. So the wind, flooding even from a Category 1 can still be tragic here, obviously. And we're looking at the overall picture. But you can see rain cooled here towards Stark. Tallahassee's still a little bit warmer. You can see toward Oklahoma City and Dallas there, warmer here in the picture. As we're updating the very best we can here, you can see around St. Louis, they're a little bit cold. They've had some flooding concerns up that way. as we're looking. But speaking of just concerns here overall, let's get back to our views. So we're going to go ahead and I'll switch it back over to analysis mode right now because we still have these alerts hanging on here. We still have these alerts hanging on as we're looking in towards some of our zones. We still have these, details coming on out here. So let me go ahead and see if we have any, updates here in terms of the polygon. I don't see any, but we still have the one that's going to go away there at 7. That's, kind of by itself for Brooks. But Adele no longer seeing a warning up there on my board, and I don't think it's on yours either. So it's really about this one box here as we get to past 7, and it looks like it's fading as well. So that's a good sign here as we're looking at the overall information. So that's what we like to see, obviously, as we're updating, just checking through, and going through some of the information I have here on my different sources. So I know they canceled that warning north of area for Cook County here recently, the Weather Service in Tallahassee. Again, seeing a weakening trend overall, but let's look at power outages again. With all this, you see 6.5% out in Lowndes, 4% out in Brooks, as we're updating you. Let's go to satellite mode. See how everything bubbled up here as we're updating the best we can. So some of that bubbling up on the southern periphery earlier on. But then in the more recent frames here, you can definitely see some stuff there in the Valdosta area. Some stuff here around Bradford County. Had that, lightning right when we were starting things off there around 5:30. That was pretty loud rumbles of thunder here to get us going pretty much unclouded there at 5:30. Just always got to remember whenever thunder roars, you go indoors here in these type of situations. Let me see if there's anything in terms of any reporting from Bradford County here real quick. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Gonna see if we have any. Okay, just a traffic assignment. I don't know if that could have been because of power. Let me look here. I don't have anything for Bradford on this, but it doesn't track City of Stark Electric. So as we go ahead and look here, I'm going to go to current. We're going to go to county power outage total. 4,000 now in the dark there in Lowndes County. So it's important to treat those intersections, of course, as a 4-way stop when the traffic lights are out. Treat those intersections, the traffic lights out as 4-way stops. Sometimes you have backup power to those lights, but sometimes not so much. So you got to remember, 4,000 customers in the dark. That could end up meaning like 8,000 people without electricity there as we're looking toward parts of Lowndes County. So see in parts of Brooks County, 300 north of area, and Cook County, it's 1,000. So just kind of watching that here toward north central Florida. Columbia is at 100 out, 300 out in Suwannee. Palatka, Putnam County area anyway, 100 in the dark. Don't know exactly where they are in the county, but you get the idea. 100. You saw in Marion County in the dark. You see quite a bit of lightning in southern Union County right now. As we're updating you, just whenever thunder roars go into just a pretty, healthy wind signature here east of High Springs, 41 miles an hour. So we got to be kind of mindful of that here. Hopefully, because we've seen some accent around, this will stay below severe limits, but it has been strengthening some. It seems, at least. The radar scan angles and distances are going to play a role in making it look like that, but it seems like we're getting, our lightning count has gone a little bit up here. It's almost steady state, but you can see these brighter colored indicative winds about 40 there on I-75 in northwest Alachua County right now. Alachua area, High Springs area, give or take. Probably closer to High Springs more than Alachua there, at least with the impact coming on into the picture. But the advisory just went away for a moment, but they may issue another one. Jacksonville office here momentarily. There's still this warning here as we look toward the north, though, for parts of Lowndes County, but it seems like it's fading. Technically, it's still for another half an hour. It also goes into parts of Brooks, but probably go off the board here pretty soon as we're updating you. But we're just going to try to keep you updated the best we can here on the overall situation. Again, just looking through things, you see some marine warnings out toward the Gulf. So, as we look out that way. So, just trying to watch. Say you have a flooded advisory for parts of Columbia County and Union till 9:30. Let me see if there's any more questions, comments here. Just appreciate everybody tuning in, trusting me. Looking at my alert board, don't see anything around here. See alert different parts of the country. Little Rock, Arkansas. You've seen a severe thunderstorm warning recently. Flagstaff, Arizona as well. So Again, appreciate everybody tuning on in. Just checking questions, comments real quick. Let me make sure all of our sources are still going with the stream. Sometimes I'll have issues. It looks like they're all going according to my list here. And just appreciate everybody tuning on in now. We still have that warning, but let's go ahead and get back into the show right now. We want to eventually get that 7-day. I know it's an hour and a half later, but we are going to eventually get to that here. I promise. We've been in, warnings the whole time. And at least we should, almost get there before the warning goes away versus, take another half an hour to get there or something like that. But you can see our overall temperature trends here. As we're looking at the map, 100 plus readings some parts of the country further west, but not seeing that around here. Tomorrow, severe weather outlook, you see some potential for some severe storms, Washington, D.C. to around New York City. Also parts, you see that darker green there as we look there around the Omaha area. In the word Iowa, some, marginal type of potential there. Another risk even further back, you saw Rapid City in the frame. But here's that future cast as we progress things. Another way of looking at it. And some of the models weren't showing it quite right. This is the extended view of it, though. We'll just kind of see how it progresses things here. So there's some stuff in our southern periphery. We'll have to see if it comes true like that. So some stuff coming back up. But you just never know with the models here. These high-res models of the summertime storms here. Just lately haven't done great. We saw some more development tomorrow on that Friday. Maybe not overwhelming, but, if we get enough pockets of instability here, that are high enough, you can see a situation here where these storms that are able to take advantage of that could go strong to severe as we're looking. And then you see our drought. This is something I really wanted to show you. Too bad we've had warnings for the last hour and a half. Just checking our board to see if we've got rid of that warning yet. It's still there. Around Valdosta, we're going to keep checking. There's also been a report, by the way, toward areas there in northwest Alachua County around Alachua of Augusta, 40 miles an hour at 6:45 p.m. So again, just trying to keep you up to date here as we're updating the very best we can. So Stark, unfortunately, still in that extreme drought. And you see it's a smaller area, though. That's positive news. But you see outdoor Cedar Key here. That's a lot better news. That's a lot better news. They were in a lot, higher type of danger in terms of this earlier on. And it's really lowered on down here because of all that rain they've gotten. I mean, I'll kind of give you that idea, and say you that, overall storyline. You can kind of see here over the ward areas there in Levy County, around 300% there of normal over the past 30 days, give or take. Mostly last week there was just 20 inches or so in some of these spots. So that's why that drought, outlook was looking a lot better, that drought monitor, as we're giving you the very latest details. And then they go over toward the almanac here. You can see Gainesville not getting to 98 degrees like 1899. I know it's interesting to look at this, for instance, because you think of 1899 there, and you think that was the year we had, record low for the state of Florida in recorded history. And Tallahassee, -2. I think that was in February of 1899. And by August, you see setting record highs toward Gainesville. See if Tallahassee had a record, for this date in 1899 as well. But you can just see the overall storyline, 6 degrees off of it today here toward Gainesville. Again, not too much rain there as of this report. Granted, it only goes to 5:30 here, and since, give or take, and since then there's been some rain in there for sure. I mean, looking at 1 hour estimates, there's been a good bit around that airport. So that's going to change in that final report here for sure. But this gives you an idea of the highs and lows in general. As we look here, the general, number, sometimes at lows can go down a little because the moisture around here. It's around 74 here. We're down at 74 here east of Stark right now in Bradford County. So it's a situation here where you can have your low right after some of that rain comes through in the, lighter rain, something like that here, as we're looking at the overall scenario. So kind of interesting to how that works meteorologically. So again, just trying to keep you up to date on things. We'll go ahead and show you now that Tallahassee almanac. It was 1989, and guess what happened that year? We had snow. I didn't look at this ahead, but we had snow there in December of that year toward areas there around Jacksonville. That was our white Christmas there in 1989 toward Jacksonville. I wasn't around then, but 1989, so reverse the numbers a little. 1899, we had a record high for Jacksonville. 1989, Tallahassee, they had some wintry weather from this as well here. It was very cold, months later. So sometimes these high highs, these low lows, there's not, there's a big variation is what I'm saying. Having a record high now doesn't mean it was, something where we had a record high earlier on. or, a record high later on. It could be the complete opposite. So interesting how you kind of have that, up and down effect sometimes. I was just looking at some of these different numbers here in the overall storyline. So, I mean, I wish we got down to 67 there back in 1920, 67 degrees there, but not quite getting there. It doesn't seem toward Tallahassee. But as you see here for this evening into the night, you can see a chance of showers and thunderstorms still. But eventually we should start to lose that here as we get later on in the evening into those, nocturnal hours. And then you see in toward tomorrow there, we're seeing 73 toward Stark, 73 toward Hampton there. Just the overall viewpoint here, those lows to maybe mid, I guess you could call 73, mid 70s, somewhere in that, overall temperature range. And then you see for Friday morning here, a little warmer off toward the east there, just that coastal influence. Same down toward the west coast as well here. I'll step out of the way so you can see Palm Coast there in Flagler County, 75 degrees for that forecasted low. Here's a broader brush view of the overall situation. You can kind of see here some more action. This Barron 3K model showed quite a bit of that. And then you see on Saturday, I mean, that could be a higher coverage even of the overall moisture levels, and just kind of watching that overall trend. Sunday, maybe not quite as much. We'll just have to kind of wait and see, though. Lower rain chance on Sunday in that 7-day, which I'll show you. Not that much lower, but, it's a little lower. And we'll start to see some, drops in that as we kind of give you guys the latest. But for that Friday, there's high temperatures in the low 90s there in general, but mid-90s toward Valdosta, Homerville area there. And then as we look at the forecast heat index values here, kind of giving you guys the very latest here on all that. You can see them getting up there pretty high at points at peak heat into those triple digits. So got to be really careful with that heat potential as we're looking at things the very best we can. You just got to be careful when you're working outside with those heat safety tips. But let me go ahead and see if we have any new updates on the alert situation. We still got the severe thunderstorm warning hanging on here around Lowndes County. So we'll see that here till 7:30. Parts of Lowndes. We also have parts of Brooks here. We've had these warnings for the last hour and a half or so in this general vicinity. I mean, I'll go back 2 hours here. I mean, literally, when we came on here, we got this warning activity to pop on up. And let me see here what I can do. I need to go ahead and make sure. I might have just hit the wrong button here, but again, let me just go tell everybody I'm appreciating you guys tuning on in here on this Thursday. Just appreciate everybody's viewership here, and they keep you up to date on the overall scenario. Let me go ahead, and I think we're good to go there. I thought I hit the wrong button there for a second on something that was going to really knock us off. But that's what happens when I've been up here for an hour and a half. Just, been talking for a while, but it's all about trying to give you guys the very latest information here to keep you guys safe and informed. Again, we'll go ahead. I'll come back over here now, and we'll see here. We'll put this into motion here for the last little bit, and you can kind of see here we've had these yellow boxes just hanging around Valdosta. And this makes it look like it's not near as long of a period as it has been. So again, we're just going to have to, keep watching this trend. It looks like we're starting to get some development now toward the south here. Toward the south. And toward Madison County now, some upscale growth. And you see, this is pretty surrounding toward northwestern Alachua. Let's go to the other angle on this. You see this wind there. Okay, so I think now we unfortunately are having that issue there. And I keep you up to date. Again, just appreciate everybody tuning on in, trusting me here on this Thursday. Just appreciate everybody's viewership here on the overall scenario, letting you guys know that overall story. So again, just letting you guys, in on everything in terms of all those details. It's just all about trying to update the very best I can here. Update you guys the very best I can on the overall situation. So, again, still seeing some of that severe thunderstorm activity. We're still seeing some of that severe thunderstorm activity. So, let me go ahead. I'll get a different mode thrown up here so we can kind of see that here at home for everybody. I have another way to show this temporarily. I accidentally hit the reboot button on our graphics computer. So from my other computer source, if you guys are wondering what I did, I've never done that before, not even practicing. So it's come up pretty quick though. So maybe it'll come back in. I guess we won't have all of our stuff. I think I did save it, so it's coming up pretty quick. But we'll go ahead and I'll just go to the other source here for a moment. Never done that before though, so that's the first. At least it wasn't a tornado warning or something. That reboot button's really close to switching the screen, over there on our other source. But again, just to appreciate everybody tuning on in. Appreciate everybody trusting me. That's what happens. I've been on here for a while, but appreciate everybody's viewership. I'm going to throw up our other source here, though, because we have another radar source I can go to for a moment. So there's our one radar source that I used to use here. As we keep you guys informed, we still got severe thunderstorm warning in play. As we're updating you. See the word about Asta there, Lowndes County, severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 7:30 officially. You see that report there recently as we're getting toward I-75. Did get a gust there, a underground station there at 6:34, gust to 49 miles an hour. So again, trying to keep you guys informed on all that there. As we're updating the very best we can. Again, just trying to go through the overall storyline. Let me see some of these different parameters here. It's just a one-man band, but you can see here our instability values. Talking about 2,000 joules here, right into toward this zone. We see more toward the west there on this view. We'll just have to see, though. I mean, it seems like it's really been stagnant in terms of that movement, so may not end up getting development further west. You don't see much, if any, of supercell composites that went up, so that's good here as we're looking at the overall information. Again, just to appreciate you guys tuning on in here. Appreciate you trusting me. Never done that before. Hit the reboot button from our remote computer, but at least we're near the tail end of this coverage here, it would seem. But I'll get it back up. It's already coming back up here as we're looking at the overall situation. So, again, just trying to update the very best I can. You can see these temperatures further back here toward, areas like Tallahassee, 86 degrees, but a lot cooler toward Lake City there in Columbia County, 70 degrees there as we're looking in toward that zone there, as we're updating the overall picture. So, again, just trying to be very mindful here of all that. So, again, just trying to update you guys on these overall conditions here meteorologically. So, just going through some of my different tools here in the toolkit. Still got that warning. I mean, I'm a little surprised it's still hanging on, to be honest. Not really seeing rotation right now. I mean, really not rotation, what you would call this, but, just the overall wind up there a little bit more in terms of seeing maybe that burst of wind energy potential as we're looking at the overall information. So, just giving that broad scale view here. I mean, stuff in northwestern Alachua and the northeastern Gilchrist is pretty strong there as we're looking around the Williford community, Clark there. Just trying to update you on all of that. I think we got our show almost loaded back in now on the other source. So let's see what we can kind of go through over there. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in here. Trusting me. Appreciate your viewership. Yeah, we were almost done with this, thankfully. So, again, on the other source. But we still have this warning here for Brooks and Lowndes. But I think we're good to go on the other computer source now. So, that was interesting. At least it wasn't a tornado warning or anything like that. But those buttons are a little too close together there. Switching the screen and the reboot button on my remote source. But let's go ahead. I'll come back on camera now. So I'm going to switch this over, take our one source off, and here we go. So your heat safety when working here, as we're looking at the overall scenario, you can kind of see the storyline with that. Just drink a cup of cool water every 20 minutes. Even if you aren't thirsty for long jobs, drink a beverage with electrolytes and then take regular breaks to rest. During hot conditions, skipping breaks is not safe. And then seek periodic breaks in the AC if possible to spend that time in the shade when outdoors. So just important to keep in mind here as we're updating the best we can. And then as we go ahead and kind of advance things here in the show, you can see those temperature outlook details here. This is something here that's going to be above average still as we're looking ahead in toward that timeline here as we get in toward, what you'd kind of call that third week of August here. I mean, this does kind of, cover next weekend, but I mean, next week's going to be pretty warm as well. You're about to see that in the 7 days. So, again, we're just watching all that here for you. And then that rip current safety information, strong current of water moving away from the shore. Just got to be really careful here, in, those last little bits of summer for some of you. Still see that warning, by the way, holding on to word about Asta. We're still keeping our eyes on that on the other computer. But, again, they're just trying to keep you guys informed here on everything the best I can. I know we do have a marine warning. We don't have a formal rip current statement out, but I know the Weather Service in Jacksonville talking about the overall storyline. Now, the overall storyline here, that there could be a high risk for those rip currents tomorrow towards some of those northeastern Florida beaches. So, got to be really careful with that as we're looking at the latest details. And then let's get in that 7 day. Hopefully, it should be saved with the correct information here as we look ahead. And it looks like it is as we're kind of giving that latest 60% there on that Friday, that rain chance, 80% for Saturday, 60% for that Sunday here. You can see temperatures starting to bounce back up as we eventually lose some of that cloud cover here. And, we started getting more of a pattern that you're just sitting to be seeing once kids are going back to school, these type of hot temperatures. But again, I just trying to keep you up to date on everything here with the very latest. You see, rain chances are lower now here as we get later on into the periods. That is some good news here as we're updating you. I know still have that severe thunderstorm warning as I look on my other screen. So we're going to, I'm going to keep watching that, as we're updating you till 7:30 for parts of Brooks and Lowndes here. A severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect here as I keep you up to date. So let's go back over to the analysis mode then. We'll go back over into analysis mode and you can kind of see what we're doing with here. Just trying to keep you up to date here on everything the best I can. West of Old Cliattville there, around, it looks like Bray Lane. We have Phillips Road, Watkins Road there. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning still in effect here. Let me see if there's any more questions, comments. Haven't looked in a few minutes here, but just appreciate everybody tuning on in. Trust in me, just trying to give you guys the very latest information on everything. Again, with this severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And now my hands are tired. That's why I had that wrong button here a minute ago. Just maneuvering things around, but it's all about trying to give you the latest, hoping things wouldn't get quite this extended with the severe weather potential. But here we are. That's how things sometimes happen in summertime still, even as we're already going back to the classroom, some of the different area schools, as we look at things the very best we can. Again, I just, appreciate everybody tuning on. And we still have that severe thunderstorm warning situation here. The overall severe thunderstorm warning. We've had these severe thunderstorm warnings in and on over the last couple of hours. This is just the last hour, but all around Valdosta just hanging around. And we'll go over to the other mode here. We'll go over to, let's see here. We're going to go to 2-hour mode on the loop. You'll be able to see all this yellow box activity. It's about 5:30 there. Hanging around parts of Lowndes County. We have had quite a few power outages I've been alluding to over the last little bit. Some of these different spots. This is weaker, but it's still, still technically a warning here. See, winds about 30 on this mode right now as we're looking at velocity. Let's go over to outages. See that storyline, 6% in the dark there in Lowndes County, 4% in Brooks County. Let's go over to our rain estimates last 6 hours. You see almost 4 inches. Granted, this is a lot shorter time than that, really. A significant rainfall for sure towards some of these spots. A lot of rain. a gully washer. This is where we've been hanging around, though. You see Commerce Drive, Myers Road. Getting quite a bit of that precip there towards south central Georgia. Gonna go County Paradise total with the outages again. 3,500 in the dark there in Lowndes County. 300 out there in Brooks County. So quite a few folks doing the dark there. In terms of electricity, there's electrical details. Latest update from the Weather Service here, and I'll go back to the base radar mode. Let's go back to base radar mode. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 7:30 p.m. for southwestern Lowndes and southeastern Brooks counties. At 7:15, severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from 6 miles northwest of I-75 at exit 16 to 8 miles west of Lake Park, moving southwest at 10 miles an hour. So, for us, the I-75 at exit 16, Blue Springs, over toward Cliveville and Kinderloo here under this severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30. So for another 8 minutes, we still got this warning in play here as I'm keeping you guys up to date and, looking towards some of these areas. We'll zoom on in here. Three inches there. You can see, I'm going to see if we can pull up some cameras real quick. So what I'm going to do, I want to see if we can get some Georgia 5-1 perspectives. I just want to see how the roadway I-75 is going in terms of all this precipitation in that area. So we'll remind you guys of Lowndes County on proximity to other zones. You see I-75 running right through there as we look at the overall mapping. Again, just trying to update the very best we can. I'll get our Georgia 511 map here, our camera information. Gonna try to pull that up behind the scenes. Just going between some of the different modes here that we have at our disposal. So we're going to look here. And I got a camera, State Road 133 at Valtech Road. I don't want to use our Georgia ones, not much anyway. Georgia 501 perspectives, but Lowndes County there, State Road 133 at Valtech Road, County Road 549. Again, we're going to try to watch things. I'll pull that in. I'm a one-man band here, so that's why I'm running off camera here. Is no engineer, nobody in my ear. It's just me giving you guys the very latest information here as we're trying to update the very best I can. I'm trying to update the very best I can as we keep you guys informed. I'll go ahead and switch this on over. So you'll see me on camera. You'll see that traffic camera up as well. So here's that view, State Road 133 at Valtech Road, County Road 549, at least in the vicinity of I-75. As things go black from time to time, but it's just the overall situation here where, sometimes you'll have a frame get lost or something on that camera, something along those lines here as we're looking at the overall viewpoint. And we're just seeing here again a severe thunderstorm warning in the vicinity. We had some heavy rain. Some areas getting more than others here in terms of that overall precipitation story. Again, we're talking about that severe weather potential here as we're looking towards some of the different zones. We have 32 strikes in my frame here on my map over the last 15 minutes. We'll go back. We'll move away from this camera view for now. I'll try to effort some more actually. So you'll see this. You'll see our warning still. our warning on the board here, and you'll see that goes for another 4 minutes. We'll see if they decide. Let me see it. Should have still in the other mode. Okay, they are going to let it go. That's good news. Okay. Severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Lowndes and southeastern Brooks counties will expire at 7:30. The storms which prompted the warning have weakened below severe limits and no longer pose an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning will be allowed to expire. However, gusty winds are still possible with these thunderstorms. So, again, that's the overall storyline there. Again, severe thunderstorm warning is going to be going away here at 7:30. I'm going to pull up a couple more camera views and we'll probably try to wrap it up. I might say the 7-day again. But we'll try to wrap things up assuming we don't get any more warnings. You just never know. Summertime still. And we are reminded here with the overall storyline. I'll see if I can get any other camera views up here. Not as accustomed to using our Georgia views, but trying my best here. Some of them aren't available, unfortunately. Okay, I guess the one I got up is the only one we'll be able to get up. But you kind of get the idea here as we're looking at the overall situation. Again, the warning's going away here in just a few minutes, which is great news, obviously. As we're looking at the overall situation, we'll still watch trends, but I'll back this up here 30 minutes. And, well, I had our system. Our system got rebooted there, like I was talking about there by accident. So it's not going to show the lightning track information over the last little bit, I don't think now. It's got to catch up. We had some lightning there a little while ago, but we're definitely, it seems like we're in a better spot here again. Let's look at velocity to verify some things. 25 miles an hour. So, yeah, again, the warning's going away here soon. You see, we have flood advisory in play, a special weather statement, but then I moved that back ahead because it was the special weather statement's a little more urgent. We do have flood advisories toward different spots here as well. As you look toward like 9:30 here, quite a bit of rain. You see parts of Gilchrist County though. Let's pull some of that up here real quick. We'll kind of pull some of that on up. Over 2 inches there in toward that corridor. Let's zoom in to see where that is. West of High Springs. See right here near north of State Road 100. Union, Columbia line, a couple inches of rain as well. So that really does tell that weather story here for sure. So that's kind of where we're at with all that. Again, the warning's going away up here, but we've got a significant amount of rain in some of these spots. I mean, 3-4 inches. That really does tell the story. And then I'll go back on over to our 7-day. Put that into play here. You can kind of see the overall storyline with that. You can see, again, these temperatures here. As we look into toward that Sunday, here, starting to warm up some, and you see those rain chances starting to go down. We have some of that moisture coming in from the east here, from the tropics here. Not anything we're expecting tropical to develop, but where that Saturday, that's increasing our rain chances to 80%. So that'll be something to be aware of here. I haven't showed you guys our flash flood outlooks. Let me do that. I'm looking here at our information from the Hurricane Center. Still no development next 7 days. A new update at 48 o'clock, already out there, and they're saying no development next 7 days. So, that's kind of what we thought, but just wanted to verify, make sure we didn't get like a 10% or something there for anything out toward the basin. But as we go ahead, I'm going to switch back to analysis mode. Now we're going to go ahead and we'll go into our hydro mode here, and again, just talking about some of these rain totals, but in terms of hydrology, you can kind of see our excessive rainfall look for day 1. Granted, sometimes, let me make sure these are not getting tangled up in terms of the timeline. Yeah, so for day 2, there's not one right now, but we'll get back into one for day 3. So day 2 there, you don't have it. Day 3, we have it. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky tomorrow with some stuff. Let me see if we have any more questions, comments here. And we're looking at the view. I know. Gonna be watching things carefully tomorrow. You don't see again. We have the risk for today. We don't have it for tomorrow. Maybe we'll get lucky, but you just never know. Here, let's put our SPC information up just to go through everything here. So, no formal risk today, but things can happen tomorrow. General thunderstorm risk again, and same for Saturday. I mean, I keep wanting to say get lucky for tomorrow as we're looking. I'm going to do a show at 5:30 and beyond as necessary. Obviously, it is my birthday tomorrow, so I'm hoping for the best of the weather. But I didn't want to get rid of the show for my birthday because I thought, well, we're gonna have to still be watching the storm potential anyway. So still gonna be here giving you guys the very latest here as warranted on everything. I'm trying to keep you guys safe and informed on the overall weather picture. So I'll be back here tomorrow for the full report at 5:30, but obviously if I need to break back in tonight for anything, I will. If I need to break back in here, ahead of the 5:30, so tomorrow, I'll be here for you with the overall storyline as we're looking at things in the overall weather picture. So I think, after 2 hours, that kind of covered all the bases here, giving you that full forecast, giving you all that severe weather coverage here. Still seeing some power outages towards some of the different communities here. I'll show you guys that information here again. 6% out in Lowndes, 4% out in Brooks. Those are the ones that stand out, but still, several different outages between different counties there on the map. And, I mean, just as we kind of look at that, and then let's go over to our other mode here. We'll go over to the county power outage total information. Alachua is starting to get up there a little bit, 1,000 in the dark, but 3,500 in toward Lowndes. Haven't had any warnings in Alachua, but some of that stuff that was coming through here the last little bit was pretty nasty in northwest Alachua County. Again, our warning's now gone toward Lowndes, which is great news. But we'll just continue to watch the trends. If we need to break back in, we get more warnings, we will. But otherwise, just appreciate everybody tuning on in. I'll be back here with that full report tomorrow. Again, if I need to break back in later tonight, I will. If I need to break back in before 5:30 tomorrow, I will, as we look at the overall situations. See some of that wind potential there, southwest of Valdosta. You see, that's getting about 40, 45. So there's an advisory there, but saw yellow box go away. That didn't look too impressive, but we'll watch it there between Old Cliveville and Blue Springs. And if we get another warning, we'll be back here with you to give you guys the very latest. There's an advisory out here toward parts of our zones and toward Gilchrist County. That zone to 8 p.m. Some pretty heavy rain, that gusty wind potential still lingering. Some of our different spots. So we'll watch for that. Let me see if there's any more questions, comments here on this Thursday, this Friday Eve here. As we update you, I don't think so. Just appreciate everybody tuning on in and trust in me. I'll go ahead and wrap things up. My hand's really tired, by the way. After a couple hours of this here, clicking the mouse and things like that. But, just maneuvering it around here as I'm talking to you guys. But we've done it longer, before. It's just a lot of times I get off camera a little quicker than this. But now since the warnings, we're kind of on that downtrend. Want to get to the full forecast. We've been with you the last couple hours trying to give you the latest. A little wore out too, but you kind of get the idea. Just working on some different things here around the house and the like. So again, that's going to go ahead and wrap things on up here. Have a great night. I'll be back here tomorrow for more weather information, unless I need to pop back in, later this evening. Full report tomorrow at 5:30, but I'll be on earlier if I need to be here as I give you guys the very latest information on the overall weather picture. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. Whenever thunder roars go indoors, of course, you have these flood advisories. As we look at the overall mapping, just you got to remember those roads. Some of those roads could be covered. As we get toward dark here, sometimes it's a little too, hard to see just how deep the water can be here towards some of our different zones. How deep the water can be. So just remember that mantra from the Weather Service: turn around, don't drown. I know you can get our, information on the flood alerts there. They put advisories, the level, the prelude to those flash flood warnings, even potentially, not really, probably, hopefully tonight, but sometimes they can be. You can get all the flood advisories there toward the Facebook page there, Cloud Weather. I have those on there now too, coming through the automated alerts. So that's another tool we have in the toolkit here, that I have in the toolkit here at Cloud Weather. Appreciate you guys tuning on in. Have a great night, everybody. Just stay safe here stay informed, have that Clutter app downloaded. I'll be back up warned him. Otherwise, enjoy things the best you can. Have a great night. Just stay safe out there.